All right. So last time when we met, we studied about principles behind the agile mindset. So if you recall, I mentioned about agile manifesto, which includes core values and 12 principles. And what were the four values? Repeat with me. Moving forward, we are going to give more value to customer collaboration, no, to individuals and their interactions, then following the processes and tools. This is number one. Number two is we value the working software over comprehensive documentation. And number three is that we value collaboration with the customer rather than negotiating contractual. And number four value is that we will be responding to change, then following a plan. You remember these four set of values, guys?
Yes, I will remember.
Oh, good. Fine. So now, and also when we met last time, we studied six of these principles from the Agile Manifesto. We said that our highest priority is the satisfaction for the customer through early and continuous delivery of the valuable software. We said that we welcome change in requirement, even if it is late in the development, in the best interest of the uh, customer, like agile processes harness change for the customer competitive advantage. And we understood delivering working software frequently from couple of weeks to a couple of months with the preference of shorter time scale is our goal. Okay. And what else? Business people and developers must work together on daily basis. So we went in depth that what was happening in predictive methodologies that developers and business peoples used to meet during requirement phase only. And they used to meet towards the end of the project. And now with Agile, we are saying that these two entities, these two departments, these two role players should work daily basis. They should collaborate on daily basis. Okay. And we discussed about having motivated teams in our motivated individuals in our team, like the self-motivated individuals in our team. We said that, okay, let's build our team from those people who are self-motivated and we give them environment in which proper environment in which they can produce the results, right? They can get the job done. So we trust them, we provide them a supportive environment, and we trust them to deliver the results. Then we discussed about face-to-face communication. Agile promotes face-to-face communication. In Agile, we value people working together under a same room. We we have terminologies in certain agile frameworks that create a war room, which means that everyone is in a same workshop kind of environment or in a same meeting room under one roof, and they are sitting next to each other so that collaboration can be enhanced. So in person is emphasized in Agile. Now, let's begin and continue the rest of the processes. So, sorry, rest of the principles. Okay. So from seventh principle, we are saying that working software is the primary measure of progress. So just go back to our value where we said that um, we will focus more on working software, delivering working software, than delivering a comprehensive documentation, right? So this resonate with our value that let's focus on something, delivering something which is working, some feature which is working, and that will show our progress that we are progressing because things are working, new features are getting released, and they are working. That shows that we are actually progressing in the project and the product that we are delivering. So more working software, more progress. Then we have agile processes promote sustainable development. So it's not like in one of the sprint um, you did very well and you finished one or two or three user stories or maybe one or two features, and then your productivity declined. In the next sprint, you were little shaky and you delivered maybe one or two user stories, or maybe not even a single feature was delivered. So we need to be consistent with our pace of delivery as well over the period of time. So sprint after sprint, if we measure our velocity, we should not have inconsistencies. Okay, we should, let's say if we are delivering 17, 18 story points in a sprint, we should be constantly delivering 17, 18 story points per developer in the remaining sprints as well. It should not drop down. Then we will talk about uh, continuous attention. It's like imagine that since you are designing in iteratively, so more often you revisit your design phase. So in each of the sprint, you have a design phase and development phase and testing phase. So what happens is that you revisit your design more and more often during the duration of the project or development of the product. Many times, each time you run a sprint, you revisit your design phase. It means that you are continuously giving attention to uh, technical excellence and good design, and it will enhance your agility. So, yeah. So, and more uh, than revisiting design, we also promote good coding practices in Agile. So, which means that we will ensure that the developers write the code with proper indentation that it's readable. They should not write something called spaghetti code that no one can read and understand. So they should write what this line of code, what this function is doing beside the line of codes that they write, so that anyone who reads their code should be able to understand what this code does. Okay, so when we do this, which it means that when we write proper indentation for the code that we have written, it means that we are continuously paying attention to technical excellence and good design. It will ultimately enhance the agility of our process. I hope you understand this now, right? Are you getting it, guys?
Yes, sure.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
Then we have simplicity. Now, what is simplicity means? Um, Simplicity means that, let's say if I gave you 20 tasks, uh, out of which actually there are four tasks which are very high valuable tasks and important tasks. Okay. So now simplicity means that let's agree on the amount of work that need to be done. So let's take out all those activities which are not very important, not valuable, so that we are left with only those activities which are very important to be focused on. So that's mean that the art of maximizing the amount of work not done is essential. It means that if you have a lot of work, the first thing should your priority should be, or your skill is, how I can maximize the amount of work which I don't need to do, which means on the other, in other words, it means that I will be left with the amount of work which I just need to focus on.
Mm-hmm.
right? Let's say you started preparing for PMP exam and you got to know there are 20 video courses by different authors and 20 books. And now you will be really confused that what should I focus on to pass PMP? So your first task should be filter out, filter out, filter out. Just narrow down what is your course of study that you need to take, right, to
Yes, yes.
achieve your goal.
Mm.
So that is called simplicity, and this is an art. Anytime you are bombarded with the work, then think of filtering. This is not important, not important, not important. Then you will be left with very
Very important.
targeted and narrowed plan of action. Got it?
Yes, yes, sir.
All right. Now 11 is the best architectures, requirements, and designs emerge from who are those genius people? Those who self-organize themselves around the work. You can expect wonders from those guys who are self-motivated, who self-organize around the work. They distribute the work between them and then they deliver. The best designs, the best architectures, the best requirements will come out of those people who are self-organized around the work, because we are saying we are not micromanaging here. We are not distributing list of actions and tasks to the people that this is what you need to do, this is what you need to do. That's purely predictive way of managing projects. Here we are saying team will gather themselves around the work and commit a work and deliver. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Or then we are saying most important part of agile is that we learn from our mistakes. So at regular intervals, team will reflect what went well, what went wrong, and they will adjust their course of action for the next sprint. So after every sprint which we do, small project, small sprint in which we gather requirements, design, develop, test, and deliver, we sit and we reflect and adjust between ourselves that guys, let's plan for the next sprint. What should we be continuing to do? What were the practices that really helped us in the last sprint? How we collaborated, how we collected the requirements, how we prepared ourselves, how we tested our code. All these things, good things, let's continue to do. And let's learn what didn't go well. So we should not make those mistakes again in the next upcoming sprints. So in this way, when we continuously reflect in the past and adjust our strategy for the future, we do continuous learning and we improve.
Is it, I just want to add something here. Is it right?
Got it?
Yes, sir.
So these were the 12 principles, very important. And in the next lecture on Sunday, not next lecture, on Sunday, we will be practicing some questions out of the other principles also. So by now, you have two type of paradigms about agile. Some people who claim they became agile and some people who actually are agile. So let's say you learned some uh, fancy framework today or yesterday about Scrum, and you got to know, okay, Scrum is an agile framework and let's implement it. And you started blindly following daily Scrum meeting and sprint planning meetings and retrospective meetings and sprint review meetings, whatever, those ceremonies. And but is it actually uh, being agile? Are you agile or you are just doing agile? Like it's like uh, looking busy or actually busy. So it means, are you doing agile or you are being agile? Being agile mean if you are really comprehending the four values, you are living on those values, you are promoting working software, you are promoting individuals and their interactions over solving processes and tools, you are promoting uh, customer collaboration rather than negotiating a contract. So you are living on those values. Yes, you are agile. But if you are away from the values, if you do not understand the principles and comprehend those principles day in, day out, your developers are not working together on daily basis with your business people, just as an example, hmm, then you cannot say that in bringing in a framework in our team and started using Jira and creating stories and assigning to the people, we became agile. No, you got the point, right?
Yes, yes, sir.
Because we said that for us, individuals and their interaction is more important than following a process and tools. So process means Scrum, tool means Jira. So just bringing in a tool will not make us agile.
Mm.
Yeah. So this is big difference between being doing agile and being agile. So we need to understand this big difference. And then, so what does agile promises us? Two things, very short and simple. We will keep the iteration to shorter period. So it's not a year, it's not 6 months, it's not a month. We will try
Mm.
to keep it as short as possible, like 2 weeks, maximum 3 weeks or 4 weeks, but 2 weeks. And then it can be 1 week. So iterations are likely to be shorter, one thing. And then we have a product that will be enhanced based on the customer feedback, which we will take at the end of every sprint. So
Mm.
continuous feedback and shorter life cycle of the iteration. These are the two things which will make us agile. Like implementing these two things show that we are working in an agile fashion. All right. But still, we have to be following all the 4 principles, sorry, 12 principles and all the values. Now, a question comes that what can be tailored? Remember, your values cannot be tailored. Like, okay, from the 4 values, I will only use 3 values in this project. I will not use customer collaboration. I will not value customer collaboration. I will value the contract negotiation, but I will welcome change. I will, but I will be responding to change, but I will be promoting the individuals and their interactions, and I will be focusing on working software, but I will not be collaborating with the customer. No, all values should be followed, and principles also have to be applied. Principles are important, but what can be tailored is the tools and the practices and the frameworks. You can bring in today's Scrum, tomorrow you can bring in extreme programming, then test driven development, then feature driven development. You can bring in as many tools and you can modify as many practices, but what cannot be modified is the principle. Okay. All right. So you guys understood the essence of agile, huh? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Simply,
There is something I want to
uh,
understand, sir.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Tell, ask me.
You see, you can tailor agile, but you cannot modify the principles. I get a little bit confused there, sir.
Yeah, because I tell you one thing. Look, if I annotate here, maybe I will be able to explain. Look, when I say agile, follow agile. So you will ask me, what are the frameworks in agile? Okay, there are many frameworks in agile. What else? What are those frameworks? There is Scrum, uh, such as Scrum or XP or TDD, test-driven development, feature-driven development. Crystal, okay, etc. or DSDM, okay, etc. Now, what's the problem? Now, each of these frameworks come with their own practices, okay, such as extreme programming emphasizes a practice called as pair programming. Scrum emphasizes daily stand-up meetings, and so on. Maybe FTD will have some practices, Crystal has its own practices, DSDM has its own practices. So we are free to tailor whichever framework we want to apply in our project from all the available agile flavors, whichever is applicable. So as an example, Scrum emphasizes that our sprint duration should be 14 days to 30 days, like 2 weeks to 4 weeks. Now, extreme programming emphasizes that our sprint, rather than sprint, they prefer calling it an iteration. So our iteration should be 1 week. So now it's up to us, whichever framework we want to apply. Either we apply Scrum or XP or TDD or FTD, it's our choice. So we can tailor a framework. We can tailor whatever we want to apply, but all 12 principles that we just learned and all 4 values that we just learned, we have to apply in each and every project that we do in an agile fashion. Okay, so we cannot be tailored, principles cannot be tailored. Let's say I cannot say in one kind of project that I do, I will apply 10 principles. I will not apply 2 other principles. I will apply out of 4 values, I will apply 1 value. Okay. The other way to understand it, and I always draw this tree, and I say that every tree has some roots. True? Right? I call these roots as values. Okay, I call these roots as values. So the more the values are strong, the more the tree will be strong.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then we have something called as principle, which is this guy,
The branches.
the stem.
Okay.
It's like a foundation, principle, pillar, right? So our principles is what on top of our values, we will have our principles, right? Then if you proceed further, what will happen? You have many branches. You will have many branches in a tree. So what are these branches? These are frameworks. These guys are frameworks, right? So you are saying you can use this framework, or you can use this framework, or you can use this framework. Fine. But how deep rooted you are in Agile, it will depend how much strong your adherence to your values. So let's say if you started from frameworks, you didn't actually went in depth to the principles. You didn't actually went in depth to the values. Simply picking up framework will not make you agile, because you still do not know the principles, and still you do not deep down, you didn't dig deep to reach to the values. Guys, understanding?
Yes, sir, we are following.
Yes, sir, I understand.
Now, one more thing I would like to add, that each framework has some set of practices, right? We can call these practices leaves of a tree. So let's say this is daily stand-up meeting in Scrum framework. It could be daily stand-up meeting. It could be, we can call it daily Scrum. We can call it, and then there could be another meeting, sprint planning meeting, and so on. So these are the leaves specific to each framework. There could be various practices. So you got this theological concept of values, principles, and frameworks, and the practices. You got your answer, Valeri?
I got the answer now, sir. I got the answer. Yes, sir. I got it.
Okay. All good. So before we apply any practice blindly, we should understand the purpose of the practice. Okay. What is the purpose? What we are trying to achieve? And then we implement appropriate practice. Okay. And the most important thing is values, mindset, and behavior. So once we adopt values, we will adopt the agile mindset, and it will reflect in our behavior. You got it right?
Yeah.
Feel free to ask questions. Now, yeah. So see, I emphasize more on the tailoring, but now you got that when I mentioned that we can tailor any practice, any framework, right, based on the purpose, what we want to achieve. But remember that we can tailor, we cannot tailor is that we cannot pick and choose or cherry pick the values and principles. We should always, these should be always here, that we should stand on our principles and we should stand on our values. So, and tailoring is important because each project is a unique project and we will have unique set of stakeholders with unique challenges. So we need to apply the specific practice which works for our project. Okay, so just like the way 5 fingers are not equal, 5 projects are not equal. So that's why we need to tailor the processes and the tools that we can apply applicable to our project. Okay. Broadly speaking,
I want to ask. I have a question to ask.
yes, yes.
Okay. The question goes as assuming I'm working with Agile framework, let's say Agile principles. Now, a client and with since I'm supposed to do my delivery in terms of spring wise. So I've finished one spring. Now I'm going to the next spring, and the client brings up a story, a customer story, as a, that will require me to do some reworks or some iteration on the previous spring. But the rework that I will be doing in the previous spring is a kind of additional work to like an additional scope to the scope that I originally have. Now, in this situation, how can I present it to the client for him to know that this is an out it is an it's an additional scope. There is a variation here, for example. How can I put it for him or her to understand that there is a variation
We don't
regarding
need to
this?
reject it. We don't need to reject it. The thing is, look, let's say client has limited budget. Let's say client has 10 I would say this much. This is my full, let's say, amount of, you know, this is a jar. Okay, so let's say these are my resources. Okay, the client has this much money. Now I started executing sprints. I reached here, this money reached here. I reached end of sprint two. Okay, what happened? The money reached here, right? Because let's say five people were working for sprint one and we paid them the salary. Now five people will work again on the sprint two. We paid them the salary. The money is going down. Sprint after the sprint, the total money is getting consumed, right? Now, what's getting into these sprints, what you need to work on is also decided based on consultation uh, with the client, right? So let's say you were ready with your product here and you demonstrated some 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 feature and the client gave you some feedback, right? Which you need to improvise and rework, right? So here they gave you the requirements and they gave you what you delivered them here. But they said, no, we want some changes. Now at their own expense, they will consume this sprint to make those changes. And you remember we said that Agile is iterative as well as incremental, right?
Mm.
So we are okay. We delivered A here. They gave us some changes. We worked on those changes, right? And then we produce A1 at the end of sprint 2. And we showed them here A1, the modified one. Now it's their choice if they did not ask me to build B during this sprint. They asked me to rework on A. No problem. That's their choice. So now you got the idea of the money they have is here, getting consumed sprint after sprint. They should know if they're asking for the reward, the money will come from their own budget.
Mm. Yes,
You
of
got the
course.
idea, you got the answer.
Yes, sir. I got the answer now.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, okay, good. These are
So
good questions.
any modification of the first sprint that would fully and
And
solely depend on their budget.
yeah. Because if I delivered what they asked, remember, if I delivered what they asked and they ask for any change, it is their responsibility. But if I did not deliver what was there in the acceptance criteria and they asked me that this is, then it's a bug. Then it's my responsibility to fix the bug,
Mm.
right? So now there
Yeah.
are 2 points. If they raise a new requirement which is not part of their acceptance criteria or their user story and not discussed anywhere, and this is a modification, then I will consume uh, next sprint for the rework. I create more stories for the rework and I will do it. But if the bugs need to be fixed, it means that this is my internal failure. I am reworking. So my developers should be accountable for that. All right. So for we discussed our foundation concepts into project management. What is program? What is portfolio? What is project management? What is program management? What is link between projects and the organizational strategy? What is organizational project management maturity model? What is the role of operations in the organization? We studied various functional and various structures of the organizations. We studied various principles, for example, project management principles. We studied the performance domains. We studied agile values, agile principles. And this is the base and the foundation of what we are saying for the full course of our project management professional. Okay.
Okay.
Now is the second part of the business environment domain, which is strategic alignment and PMI talent triangle. What does it mean? So let's say you already got PMP certification. Okay.
Mm.
Still, PMP wants you to contribute or to give back to the
And
profession.
let's say we got PMP certification as we will get, as we will be satisfied,
Hmm.
certified. Sorry.
Yes. What is your question? I missed your
Uh,
question. What is
no, sir. I just wanted to emphasize on the point that we are sure to be PMP certified holders.
I didn't get it. Anyways, so my point is that once you have the PMP certification, PMI wants you to keep in um, stay engaged with the project management uh, work, keep working as a project manager, keep contributing to the project management profession, give back to the profession, write articles, deliver lectures, read books, be part of the project management community conferences. Valerie attended one project management institute forum, right?
Yes, sir.
I recall that. So, what are you doing in those, in the next 3 years? Let's say today you got PMP certification. So for the next 3 years, what you need to do is you need to develop or gather 60 points, or we call it professional development units, to retain your PMP certification for another 3 years. Okay, so you have to gather those 60 points, and those 60 points has to be split it into three areas where you need to develop yourself. One will be power skills. Power skills, I mean that your interpersonal skills. So the more you will take and participate in the leadership roles, or you will attend conferences, deliver some lectures, the more you brush up your communication skills, okay, that will be the more you understand your leadership style and take some leadership trainings, it will add up to your power skills. So the more you work on your soft skills, it will add up to your power skills. And there is a way that you can claim it in the end. Then there are ways of working. So let's say you are working as project manager, you are learning some new frameworks, such as the frameworks I mentioned, Scrum. You took another training, let's say professional Scrum Master or uh, or any other certified Scrum Master training or any Lean Six Sigma training or any training that actually enhances your knowledge base about what kind of methods are there to enhance the workflows and to enhance the product deliveries and product innovation and the more um, in-depth insights, when to use hybrid, when to use predictive, when to use um, and those concepts of system thinking, design thinking. So more you learn innovative methods of product exploration, and those things, these are called mastering the diverse and creative ways of doing project management and all the alternative ways. So you are practicing and learning more ways of working, right? So the more you enhance yourself in those technical project management, it means that you are getting more points in that area. So you can claim those areas, those points, that you number of hours you spend learning and practicing those new concepts in a ways of working. This is one category where you can claim those points. And then PMI wants you to also understand the business domain, like the business acumen, the industry that you work in. Let's say you work in telecom industry, you work in retail, you work in fashion, you work in healthcare, you work in insurance. So whatever you work in, you should continue to explore what does your company do, how they make business, what are the products they sell, how does the projects add value to um, their bottom line, right? So the more you develop that skill of how sales work, how marketing works, what how product development happens. So the more you develop your business acumen in the industry that you work in, you also can come back and claim that for the last 3 years, I kept on developing myself in the kind of products that we sell, in the same industry that I work in. And then this is one of the category where you can also claim your points. Okay.
Okay.
Mhm. Good. Then we started business environment domain on these presumptions that what we are going to study is the foundation of the project management and how projects add value for the organization. So we need to find out that linkage of between projects and organizational goals and organizational strategy. So so this is important to understand that what are the 5 years goals of your organization, where they want to what they want to achieve in 5 years, right? So once you have that bigger understanding of the vision of the organization, that where they are heading to, you can also relate the kind of work that you are doing day to day basis. It will start to make sense. Yeah, why we are doing this? Because organization want to um, reach there. So you know uh, the activities that are happening on day to day basis or the projects that are being chartered, you will know the linkage between these projects and the organizational strategy, right? Because they have a vision, they want to achieve that vision. For that purpose, they created these projects like the higher management. So when they chartered various projects and programs to achieve their vision, and you understand the vision, you will understand the purpose of the projects that you do, right?
Yes, yes, sir.
Yes, sir. I have a question.
Yeah.
Normally, the question goes as normally, I want to believe that. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. Okay. So the question is like this. Normally, if somebody like, let me say, normally if we get PMP certified, and there are chances like a new PMP certified and the vibrance and all the knowledge that we acquire. So there are chances that we may likely work in a company whereby, or in an organization whereby they are just working. They don't have either of these principle at hand, and uh, you are the one to like bring up the framework and then how to go about it. Now, the question here is, how is there a way, is there an idea on how we can approach that in a company whereby they are not versed with all of this? How can we like now align? Can you now align them to follow either of the agile or waterfall, or either of the project management principles?
Yeah. So see, you have got interesting and important question, but it is related to change management and the transformation. So there are various frameworks which we are going to learn, which helps in achieving that transformation. You know, every transformation, even if it is personal transformation or an organizational transformation, it has stages, right? Transformation cannot happen overnight, right? It requires some education, awareness, and there is a transition, right?
Yep.
So, so the how part of it is that there are proven frameworks for transformation, which, let's say, big organizations, let's say Oracle, Microsoft, they applied those transformational models to achieve this agile transformation. So we can also learn from them, and we can also apply those models to achieve the transformation. But who will charter this transformation? Not you. End of the day, the leadership has to be convinced that there is a need for agile transformation. And then once they are convinced, those models can be applied to achieve that transformation. Got it?
Got it, sir.
All right. So this is my point, which I was explaining in the previous slide, that um, the portfolio manager of the organization has a vision. Okay. So let's say the top management, the CEO, the chiefs, they charter the vision. They want to take this organization to somewhere in 5 years. They want to be number one telecom service provider or fiber service provider, or whatever. They want to be number one in the industry, right? So that's the vision that they might have a vision statements. Okay. And then from their vision statements, we will see they have their mission statements. Hmm? Mission statement is that we continue to do this till we achieve our vision, right? So we day in, day out serve you in a better way. That's why, because we want to be number one. So mission drives your vision. And then from that mission, they will have some OKRs, or the key objectives and the key results that they want to achieve. So those KPIs, or they will drive various key objectives. And for each of those objectives, actually, there will be various projects and portfolios created. Okay, so then the projects and the programs actually will try to achieve those key objectives of the organization. So you see a linkage between projects and the programs with the OKRs, and OKRs with the mission, and mission with the vision. So even the operations happening in the organization are important to achieve organizational key objectives and ultimately organizational mission and the vision. So everything is a building block, you know. So we can't say that operations does not add value to the vision. They do. They do add value. They support projects and programs, and ultimately projects and programs help organizations to achieve organizational key objectives and the results, and those key objectives and the results actually keep them going in their mission forward towards their vision which they want to achieve. Simple. Got it?
Got it, sir.
Got it.
Makes sense. But one more thing I want to emphasize before we forget. Um, you remember I told you that a program has set of benefits. Let's say, and a project, there are various projects under one program. So a project has set of deliverables, but various projects will contribute, and the outcomes of these projects actually will let a program manager achieve program benefits. And those benefits actually will ultimately translate to OKRs. And this is what was missing in this slide. You got it? Okay. Let's move on. So let's say if you found anybody working on maybe some piece of work in the organization which does not contribute to any operation, which does not contribute to any project, any program, any portfolio, then they're wasting time. So you found anyone laying down a cable at customer premises, which is not accounted in any operation, in any control account or work package for a project. It's just individual who decided to do this activity. This is a big no. Every work that we do should have work authorization, and every single material that we consume or hour that we spend should be accounted towards any operational job, any project under any work package, or any portfolio. You got the idea of what we do on daily basis. How does it contribute to organization?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, two more important concepts before we close today's lecture is the enterprise environmental factors and organizational process assets. So far, we discussed a bit about how projects can contribute for the organization. Like projects will deliver some results and organizations will improve. Either their operations will improve or projects will deliver some products and products will sell, and then organizations will make money and then they will generate value for their stakeholders. So those are the changes that projects bring for the people that these projects are done. But there are certain influences on project and project activities from the internal environment and the external environment where the project is done. Obviously, right? If we don't have internal resources to do the project, we have limited resources. It means that project will suffer. Project manager will suffer. Project objectives will suffer. We won't be able to finish the project on time, right? Because we don't have resources. You got the idea? So we
Yes, sir.
have
Yes, sir.
some leg pullers, I would call, internal to the organization that we work on the project, and some leg pullers external to the organization that we work. So what are those internal and external? We'll see in the next slide. Let's see first those internal and external factors before we come back to the OPS. So let's say, let's come back. So internal to the organization are your people in the organization, your policies in the organization, your systems and tools in the organization. So you do not have enough skill set in your organization, resources in your organization, human resources in your organization, which are required specifically to do the project activities, then you will have very limited resource pool to get things done, right? You will need to go outside the organization. You need to go and contract outsourcing agencies to give you the resources to get the job done. You will not have, let's say, softwares, systems for work authorization, project management, change management. What will happen ultimately? Chaos. You don't have ERP planning. You don't have systems to pay to your suppliers, contractors, right? So if you don't have systems and the tools in place, then also you will suffer, right? To ask for the resources, to manage the resources. So all these capabilities actually will help you get the job done for the projects, right? Projects have work and the work need to be done through systems of the people. So if you don't have, then you have internal limitations. Now, what are those external factors which also are important? Let's say our industry in which we work, it is highly regulated industry. Let's say it's a medical industry, it's a health and services sector, it's telecom industry, whichever industry we work, it's a highly regulatory industry, then it means that there are regulations in place. The regulator is involved, which have we have compliance requirements, right? We have certain compliance requirements which we need to comply. So it means that we have external limitations, one of which is the government regulation or the regulations around the work that we do, such as health and safety regulations, or we can do business with such and such entities, we cannot do business with such and such entities. These can go to this level, and we can have sometimes delays because we have material equipment which is stuck at the custom for the clearance. So those are the external factors which may limit your project activities, and ultimately it can impact your project objectives, such as you won't be able to deliver on time, you won't be able to complete the work within the budget, and you won't be able to achieve the quality. So you are impacted by external environment. Maybe there is a war going on, there is a war, political situation, external political environment in which you are working on a project is actually not suitable for your project activities. And this will hamper your project end goal, which is to complete it on time, to, let's say, it will inflate the cost of the manpower available in the market. Let's say marketplace conditions is an external factor. If there is geopolitical situation is different and then the country went in war, so what will happen? Chaos will be there, stability will not be there, people will not be available. How you will get the work done, right? Are you getting my point, right, guys?
Yes, sir, we are
Yes,
getting.
sir.
So there are marketplace conditions, external factors which will impact us. They will add delays to our project activities. We will not find key resources to get things done. Labor costs will go high, and our project budgets will go high, right? So there could be internal limitations such as our policies. Our policies might not be very good for our work-life balance, and that can impact ultimately the health and work-life balance of our employees. So, so our values, what do we value? Do we value our employees? This also is an internal factor. What is our vision? This is an internal factor. Do we have any vision? Do we have any mission? Do we have any values? So are these aligned with the employee well-being? So all this actually impact your project activities ultimately. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So that was the enterprise environmental factors, and we said it is of two types. One is internal, which is the capability and the resources and the policies that you have internal to the organization, even your organizational culture, your organizational structure, vision, mission, values, everything comes here. Even Inshallah Bukra comes here. You know Inshallah Bukra?
No,
No,
no.
sir.
Because you need to take approvals, let's say, and you go and you ask for the approval. Most likely you will get to know that we will approve it tomorrow. Yalla, come tomorrow. So that bureaucratic process will add delays to your project activities, right? That is
That's
that
true.
are
That's true.
delays caused by the internal bureaucratic processes. So that's an internal limitation. And what about external limitation? Marketplace condition, the laws, regulations, the socio-cultural influences or political influences. These are all
Weather
most important
condition.
factors. Yeah, correct. Now, another concept that we need to understand from PMP exam perspective is organizational process assets, OPAs we call. So these are also two types. One is processes, policies, and procedures. Second is the organizational knowledge base. So processes, policies, and procedures are firing rules, all written, documented processes that we follow to onboard people, let's say, to the working hours, the the kind of rules that HR has for the organization, let's say. Okay. So your company structure, who is at the top, what is the kind of hierarchy that you have, who is the CEO. So you must know all these processes and procedures, that if you need to take an approval, it will go through which cycle. And if you need to escalate, then it will go through which cycle. So the whole governance around what types of methods that you are using, what type of methodologies that you are using. Let's say you are using PMI methodology, so you will have project management processes as per the PMI methodology, right? If you are like, you may have HIPAA, you may have data privacy regulation. This is the health and food security. I mean, food and health. And then you may have some. So you may follow various internal processes and procedures, the standard operating procedures, which actually will also have an impact ultimately on your project activities. Make sense, right? Let's say you need to onboard a resource and it takes 45 days to onboard a new resource. What will happen? You need to account this time in your mobilization, in your project plan, so that you should know that how soon a resource can come. If you need to start activity today, so you should have acted 45 days before. You should have placed the request for this resource. So all this hiring and onboarding procedure will ultimately delay your project, right? But you should act in advance, that you should know your organization need these resources, so that you should ask for these resources much earlier. And it has two types, as I said, OPS. It has two types. One is processes, policies, and procedures. Second is knowledge base. So in organizations, what happens? People leave the organization after working for years and years, and they take the knowledge with them. So what do? We do knowledge management system. We bring in knowledge management systems, and we preserve that knowledge in a kind of videos, documented processes. We do some lessons learned session, and we record these sessions, right? So what happens? The people who join later in the organization, they have access to those projects, right? Those project files. Let's say we have done previous projects. There are project files from the previous projects, such as risk registers, project completion reports, the estimates. So all these are at the discretion of new project manager. He can consult those that knowledge repository, and he has a wealth of information already there. What kind of projects has been done in this organization? What kind of risks that we encountered in those projects that were done in past? What were the estimates that were collected by the previous project managers, and how did the previous project goes went? Let's say, what were the project completions reports tells you. So all these past project files will be also available in the knowledge base. Got it?
Got it, sir. Got it. Got it.
All good. I think enough for today. Any questions?
No, for now, for today, no question from my side.
All right. Let's